The neighborhoods where we grow up can determine the trajectory of our lives, from the money we earn to how long we live. And it's not by accident. America was built this way. And Jesus Hernandez has mapped those inequalities block by block.
I was able to measure every social ill in the city.
Like what?
Where are your dropouts from high school? Where are the people who get the flu? Where are the people who use more water than others?
His work has shown that all of it connects back to one factor over and over again, and that factor is race.
You have these racial patterns that represent a geography of where we shifted our people over the period of 100 years in the developing of the city. And we can pretty much do this in every city in the United States.
Why? Well, about a century ago, legal language was often written into the deeds of houses, prohibiting selling them to people who weren't white. They were called race covenants, and they built racism into the housing system across the country. White neighborhoods wound up with advantages that still shape modern cities. We met Hernandez in Sacramento, Land Park to be exact, one of the city's oldest and wealthiest neighborhoods.
And this was one of the areas when it first started developing where race covenants were first used in Sacramento. And so this is where you start seeing this divide between neighborhoods start to happen.
A neighborhood like this one enjoys all the benefits of a century of preferential treatment and public investment. It gets a light rail service. Businesses choose to relocate here. It has bike lanes, bus service, everything that a city dweller would want. Let's compare two neighborhoods just 3 miles apart. This is Land Park. This is South City Farms. 77.3% of people living in Land Park are white. In South City Farms, 8% are white, 52% are Latino, and 9% are black. 40% of people in Land Park have at least a 4-year degree. In fact, 28% have a master's degree or higher. In South City Farms, only 2.3% graduated from college. In Land Park, 71% of people own their home. In South City Farms, only 25% do. A person living in Land Park is likely to live 10 years longer than someone living in South City Farms. And while average household income in Land Park is over $132,000 a year, in South City Farms, it's just $28,000. Tell me about this neighborhood in contrast to the other one we saw.
So what you see here is that concentration of race and poverty and every other social ill that you see that's associated with divestment.
You may think to yourself, sure, good and bad neighborhoods, so what? Well, again, it's not coincidence. If you look at the race covenant neighborhoods across Sacramento or any city, the pattern is shocking. In these neighborhoods of Sacramento, education, home ownership, health are all different than these neighborhoods. What's the difference? Well, these neighborhoods were exclusive to whites under race covenants from at least 1913 to 1948, when the covenants became illegal. And banks and lenders used the race of non-white owners to downgrade home values until 1978. That means all that time, white neighborhoods accumulated wealth, political clout, public investment, while other neighborhoods, which also paid their share of taxes, received little or no investment. They even lost money. Other systems deepened the divide. The Federal Housing Administration, which was created to make home loans affordable after the Great Depression, refused to back them in African-American neighborhoods, a policy called redlining. And while the GI Bill helped white Americans get low-interest mortgages, it shut out African-American vets.
Now you see these people here that have to leave the neighborhood for better resources rather than stay here. And when they leave the neighborhood, they actually take their checkbook with them. When they go by in another neighborhood, when they go to get health care in another neighborhood, when they go to school in another neighborhood.
Because they don't have any of those things here. They can't walk here to a grocery store, a school, a hospital.
That's exactly right.
When a neighborhood has had so little money for so long, it takes superhuman effort to provide what the community needs. The city closed this elementary school in 2013. It's now home to a nonprofit called La Familia, run by Rachel Rios.
So when you look at what healthy communities look like, you look at the support services that families can go to, libraries, public transportation, parks, beautiful trees. And when you look at our community, you don't see that. You don't see an investment. You see nonprofits trying to fill in the gap as best we can.
So you provide the only play field in this whole neighborhood?
yeah, there's not a park here, so this is it.
Racism is not just about our individual attitudes. It's built into our systems.
It's not as blatant as I'm going to oppress this community. It's more subtle than that, and that's the problem with it, is that it is more subtle, and we seem to accept it because it is subtle. So how is it that this community doesn't deserve to have the bus stop? How is it that this community doesn't deserve to have a park? That's where the systemic racism comes into place.
So how do we change nearly a century of inequality? This is not a problem the people of a neighborhood can change on their own, Hernandez says.
You have to directly intervene in the mechanisms that create this inequality.
You have to put your thumb on the scale in some way and change
You have to put your
it.
stick in the spokes and stop that bicycle from moving. And if you don't do that, that racial spatial wealth gap will continue to widen.
And neighborhoods like this continue to get left behind.
Correct.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.